Judith, um, thank you for taking some time to share your thoughts with us this afternoon. You are with MWR. We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to hear all about them. But Judith Ivory, you are a 20-year active duty non-commissioned officer in the United States Army. We're going to talk about that too. I want to know your current status. Should I call you doctor because you have a doctorate degree from the Great Commission Bible College? So let me know if I need to refer to you as Dr. Judith. I will.
It's
And
fine.
you recently received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the President of the United States. So you have quite the resume. But Judith, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us a little bit about MWR, what it stands for, what it represents, and what it means to you and your husband.
Okay, sure. Well, like you said, my name is Judith Ivory. I'm also known as Cookie. A lot of people call me Cookie. I kind of grew up with that name. So Cookie is my little ghetto name, but I love it. I did 20 plus years in the United States Army.
You got
I
to tell
made it
us a
to the
little bit
ranks
about
of
Cookie first.
senior non-commissioned officer.
Who gave you the name
Um,
Cookie? How long have you had it? Where did it come from?
Cookie, where Cookie come from?
Yeah, yeah.
Cook, Cookie came from me having the last name of Cook at one time. And
Got it.
no one would call me Cook. They would only, in the military, we call each other by our last names. So they would never call me just Cook. They would say Cookie. And it stuck. So for the past 35 years now, I've been known as Cookie.
Cookie it is, right? Yeah. My name's Butch, so I always ask people where they get the names from. But
Okay.
yeah. And Cookie, what division of the military that you served in the Army?
Yes, United States Army for 20 plus years.
And were you ever deployed anywhere? Did you serve in the United States? Tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yes, I deployed. We also call deployments when we have to go TDY to some countries, and sometimes we only have to go for a few months. So I deployed to Germany a couple of times for
Hang on,
about
what's
6 or 8 months.
we don't know what TDY is.
It's a temporary duty station. It's temporary
Got it.
duty. So
Got it. All right.
we would go temporarily to these different stations, and so Germany, I went there a couple of times temporarily on a mission, and then I went to Iraq for 15 months, and then shortly after Iraq, I went ahead and got out. After then, I went ahead and dropped my paperwork and retired. That was enough for me.
Well, 20 some years. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's it's such a we don't say it enough, right? We have certain days a year where we celebrate our veterans and we recognize their contributions, but it's all day, every day. Um, on a side note, right? Just last night I was watching a documentary on the TV show MASH, and they were showing a 2 hour special on what they did with the show and the realities of what was going on in Korea at the time. And this was in the 50s. Sorry, this was in the show was in the 70s. So the show is 50 years old. And but the reality of as much as we find life and light, there's still a war going on, and people get hurt, and trauma happens. So, the name of the show is Unfiltered. We don't need to visit all that trauma today, but it's just a reality that these things happen. So
Yes,
when we say thank you for your service, um,
thank you.
even though you've left active duty, that service continues in your heart and your mind, I would imagine, for
Absolutely,
possibly the rest of your life. So thank you every day
absolutely.
going forward too,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you have retired. What year did you leave the military?
What year did I what now?
What year since you've left? How many years since you've
Oh,
left?
I left active duty service in 2012.
Nice. Nice. So now talk to us about life since then.
Well, I got out the military and went on what we call terminal leave.
Okay.
Terminal leave is the end of your service. So any leave that you have left over, you can either sell it or you could go on a paid leave vacation. So I had
Okay.
about 60 days of paid leave vacation, and I took the 60 days of paid leave vacation. And I went to my sergeant major, who at the time was running the finance office, which is where I worked as a soldier. And I told the sergeant major that I needed a job, and
Okay.
because I was afraid, I'm getting ready to lose this income that I've been had for the last 20 years, and I was afraid. I didn't want to change my lifestyle, so I knew I just need to get another job so that I could keep that income coming in. So the sergeant major said, "Sure, if you want to work here, this was on a Friday." She said, "Can you come to work Monday?" I said, "Absolutely." So I took off my uniform on Friday. I put on a skirt suit and some heels on Monday and went to work. And then I worked for finance as a civilian, and I took a supervisor position, and I worked there for 10 years. And I'm getting ready to draw the retirement for that. I just hadn't applied for it, but I'm getting ready to draw the retirement for that also. But yeah, that's what I've been doing since I got out the military.
Well, congratulations. So you traded one uniform for the next, but same job, which is smart. And now you have essentially two opportunities for pensions going forward. Um, which ordinarily makes you a hell of a catch. But I know you're married, so that ship has sailed. But if it hadn't sailed, man, you're a hell of a catch, right? So a
You.
strong lady with two incomes, that's awesome. So Judith, tell us about MWR. What it is, what it does, what you do in it, um, and then we're going to talk about some of the struggles in building a business from scratch, and the sacrifices and the work. I know today you have tremendous success, and it's easy to look at you today and think that it's either always been this way, or you're just lucky, or good things just came your way. So we're going to talk a little bit about the work and the sacrifice, and to some extent even the unfiltered failures that came along the way, and how you push through that. But let's talk about MWR. Tell us about the company, and what it does, and what you do with it.
Okay, so MWR stands for Make Wealth Real.
I love
And I
that.
tell you, if anybody ever used a word that is true to what it says, this is it. Make wealth real. That's
I love that.
essentially what they have done and continue to do for thousands of people every day. We are considered life legacy coaches in this industry.
Okay.
So what we do is, it's just like when we was in the military. Um, you have to be a real well-rounded soldier to get promoted, to move forward in the military. You have to be well-rounded. You have to be good at in the field. You have to be good with PT, your physical training. You have to be good in the office. You have to be good at a whole bunch of things before the military will push you forward to get promoted. What's the same thing with make wealth real? In order to make wealth, you have to be well rounded. So make wealth real covers every aspect of your finances, whether that be making money, saving money, growing money, protecting money, leveraging everything, lowering your taxes, building your credit, lowering your bills that you have in your household. It does everything. So you have no reason, you cannot say that this company is not doing everything for you to make wealth real for you. And the beauty of it is you don't do it yourself. They hired
I love
experts
that.
that do everything for us. Everything, they do it. They have the experts that some of them in the company are IRS enrolled agents. They work on our taxes. They help us bring down our tax liability. They help us work on our credit scores. We even have in the company where if you have less than stellar credit scores, you can still get a house because we work with you on it and help you get to where you need to be. But in the meantime, you're living in your own home. This company does everything to help you make wealth real. So let me tell you what it has done for me. When
I
my
want to hear
husband
this.
joined the company, I went with him to a presentation. And when I heard the compensation plan, I was pretty much disinterested, to be honest with you. I just
Okay.
wanted to go to Atlanta because I had family and friends there I wanted to visit. So I tagged
We're
along with him to go and
we're
visit friends.
unfiltered. You can say it like it is.
Yeah. So I was really uninterested. But when I sat down and I listened to the compensation plan, I said, hold up, I want that. My husband said, oh, don't worry, you can fall up under me. No, sir. No, sir. I want my own money. I'm my own woman. I want my own money. So I joined the business myself so that I get my own checks coming in. And when we did that, with him and I both having an account with Make Wealth Real, they were working on our things separate but together.
Okay.
And me and my husband both, we didn't have bad credit scores at the time. I think we was in the low to mid sevens, but they worked us up to over 830 something. They worked our credit scores up to that. They gave us the formula to pay off debt, and we followed the formula because me and my husband both were active duty military. And one thing we learned is follow instructions. You got
To
to
the
know
T.
how to follow instructions. So when they told us what we needed to do, we simply followed the instructions. And when we followed those instructions, we were able to pay off our home that we were living in. We had the home built in 2005 with a 30-year payoff debt of
Awesome.
2035. We paid that house off 16 years early.
Whoa, that's
16 years
awesome.
early. And then not only that, we had about $80,000 in credit card debt that MWR helped us eliminate almost immediately. See, what people tend to miss in this MWR thing is that they think you got to get out here and make a whole bunch of money to get the same thing done that we did. We were wasting so much money. You don't see it until you see it. And MWR made us open our eyes and we saw it. We
All right,
saw the
stop there
money
for
that
a
we were
second.
blowing.
Stop there. We don't
Okay.
see it till we see it. I'm writing this down, right? This is special. We don't see it till we see it. But aren't there a bunch of people that might be watching this or have, you know, been exposed to MWR and they're going, oh, that sounds too good to be true. This can't work. I'm sure she just got lucky. She and her husband, when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, everybody said that, it was all fixed to make it happen so they could market the NFL. So aren't there people that don't appreciate the opportunity, don't see it, or choose not to see it, regardless of how it's staring them in the face? So why were you and your husband so willing to surrender to the plan?
Well, you said a key word there. They choose not to see it. We chose to see it. We chose to see it in the fact that we knew that what we were doing was not working and we needed to try something different. So when this opportunity was presented to us, of course, everybody is afraid of the unknown. So of course we was like, oh, I don't know. But you know, we gotta hunker forward and get out there and we gotta try it. Because if you don't try, you definitely lose. But if you try, you have a better chance of being better. But you gotta try something before you can get there. You can't just hope and wish and pray for it. You got to get out there and do something. I mean,
Are
ain't
you
nothing wrong with hoping and wishing and praying because we did that too. But you got to put action to it. Even the Bible says faith without works is dead. I have faith that I can do it, but if I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen.
so it's not magic, it's actually
It's
laid
not
out for
magic.
you. You got to work the plan, you got to plan to work, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you this. So in your bio, um, you say you came from little, or you came from nothing, were your exact words. So I'm sitting in the audience. I'm watching an MWR presentation, and they have Judith up there, and I'm going, "Oh, that lady's got it made." She's got two pensions. Her husband's ex-military. He's got a pension. Yeah, I'm sure they don't have the stress that we're dealing with. I'm sure they don't have the struggles that we're dealing with. I'm sure they don't have the bills that we're dealing with. So of course they can give this a try. They're not walking the same walk we are, right? They're so lucky they got it all figured out. So what happens there? What does coming from nothing mean? Because um, I grew up in a household that didn't talk about money at the dinner table. Number one, we didn't have a dinner table. Number two,
Right.
we didn't sit together and eat like they do on TV.
Right.
It was kind of a first come first serve kind of thing, and no one talked about money because we didn't have it, right?
Right.
So everything that we achieved in our later life, we had to learn, um, sometimes by trial and error, and sometimes with a lot of error. So I'm sitting there, Super Saturday, MWR. They're talking about Judith Ivory, and my first thought is, she don't know what I'm going through. She got two pensions. Her husband's got a pension. They got it set. That's why they can just do this stress free. How would we respond to that?
Well, I tell you this. Everything that I did, which was the main thing, was joining the military, getting out of that poverty I was living in by joining the military. I couldn't afford to go to school. I couldn't afford. I tried. I couldn't afford to keep up with those classes and the cost to it. I just couldn't. So the next
Sure.
best thing for me was to join the military. I didn't know where that was going to go, but I tell you what that did do. It put me in position to be ready for this, not
I love
knowing
it.
this at that time, but looking back, hindsight is always 2020. You got to start somewhere. You got to put yourself in position to be ready for what's coming up. See, you can't go out here and just buy a $500,000 home because you got one pension coming in. You got to have some serious money coming in to pay for this $500,000 home, because
Two
the mortgage
pensions.
the
Two.
mortgage is the least of your worries. You've got the mortgage, you've got the insurance, you've got property taxes if you're in a state in which we are in that you have to pay property taxes. You've got a host of things that come with that mortgage. So you've got to put yourself in position. And what MWR does, it puts you in position.
All right.
Actually, you're starting off better than I did.
So you talk about getting people in the right mindset for change. And
Hmm.
one of the quotes in your pre-interview says, I love this. You can't, I'm going to borrow it. You can't, I'm going to borrow it and tell people it's mine.
Okay.
You can't change your circle until you change your circle.
That's right.
I thought that was powerful, right? So that being said, so you're excited, you see an opportunity, you see a way to the next level, not so much a way out. The military was your way out.
Right.
And you gave that 20 some years of your life. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like you took the easy way out. You made a life out of it. So now you're looking at getting to the next level, right? But your identity, Judith, your identity is still, and I'm going to say this, you're a black woman and you're military for 25 years. That's your identity, right? So now you come to me and you start telling me about hopes and dreams and goals. And I'm looking at you going, what are you talking about, girl? You're military. What do you know about goals and dreams? They stripped that from you the day you signed the paper to say you're enlisting. So how do you address that with the people that you're closest to that see your enthusiasm and they want to squash it because it's not consistent with the identity of you that they think you are?
See, that's where that mindset come in at. And that's where change in that circle comes in at. That your mindset will destroy you. If you have the wrong mindset to your financial blueprint, it will destroy you. You will be where you are the rest of your life. Some people cannot afford to die because they got that mindset that, oh, it just worked for her. Oh, she just was lucky. Oh, she had 20 years of service. That was a struggle during those 20 years. That was no fun. Those 20 years almost destroyed my marriage in the end because of those deployments. That was tough. That was no easy thing. What MWR does for you is start you where I ended. It starts you there. It has a compensation plan that'll give you the money that I was making busting my butt because you're a soldier 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They could call me at any time of the day and night, and they did, to tell me to come to work, to come and load this truck up, to come and fill this tanker, to come get these soldiers ready for the field, to come make sure these soldiers get paid. And they did that. But with MWR, you don't have that. Your only obstacle is you. So as long as you work the business, do what you're supposed to do in the business, you will start where I ended. If that makes sense.
It 100% makes sense. So today, you're in a better place today. You have success today. You own properties outright today. You have disposable income today. You got lifestyle today. So I'm sitting here going, of course, no, I'm not saying me, but if I didn't know better, I'd be saying, well, of course she can do this. She's got all the glam. She's got all the toys, all the bells, all the whistles. I can't make rent. I can barely keep my car from not getting towed. And I fill up gas every day because I don't get to do it a week at a time. So, what are my chances in selling the dream? What are my chances in spreading hope? What are my chances in inspiring somebody else when I'm not living it right now? Because today, Judith Ivory has her act together. How long have you been in MWR?
7 years.
So today is different from 7 years ago. Everybody wants what you have now. Well, let's talk about the years when you didn't have this and you had to deal with all of that struggle.
Yeah, let's talk about when I didn't have this. Let me tell you, when I met my husband in 2004. I was 42 years old. He had a different mindset than me. See, God put you in places and attach you with people that'll take you to the next level. And I think MWR put me in this place to help other people to get to this level.
I love that.
So when I
It's
met
awesome.
my husband, he had a total different mindset than me. He was investing. So he took me to his financial advisor, and his financial advisor set me down for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and talked to me about savings and insurance and how we're going to take this money that you sent us, and you're not going to get anything off of this money at first. We're going to pay your taxes up front, and we're going to do. I said, man, you crazy as heck. You're not going to take my money and do no, sir. I refuse to do it. My mind wasn't there. I wasn't ready. So I said no. But my husband, he did it. He did it. The guy told him, he said, listen, if you hang on to this investment for 15 years, he said the worst case scenario is you got a forced savings and you'll get at least what you put in. You won't lose anything. And you're covered by insurance and you got a good savings going. So why not? He said, okay, let's do it. He did it.
Okay.
15 years passed like that. People think that time passed slowly. I promise you it does not. Next thing I know, 15 years gone. My husband pulls out $300,000 from that, from putting in $400 a month. Do the math. Do the
That's
math.
perfect.
Guess what
Yeah.
I had? Nothing. Nothing, because I didn't do it. I couldn't
Wow.
see it. I started late, start trying to invest after he finally got me to see this thing. It took him a minute. So I don't blame people for saying, I can't do it. She did it. It's just good for her. She's lucky. She set up. She had this. No, I didn't. I was living paycheck to paycheck when I met my husband. We were living paycheck to paycheck in the military. We waited on our check to pay our bills. But
Yeah.
when we got smart and start using our mind and start stepping out there on faith and stepping out there saying we got to do something different because this ain't working, life got better. It was hard. You think I didn't have an issue with, at the time when I joined MWR, I think it was about $300 to join. It's $149 now. It was $300 to join then. I ain't want to give up that $300. I was thinking about that Hennessy and that popcorn that I was gonna, and a movie I was gonna rent. That's what I was thinking about. My $300 was gonna go to. But I knew, excuse me, that I needed to do something different because what I've been doing so far is not working. And I knew that I was winding down to the end of this military thing. What was I going to do after this? I knew I didn't want to be that person that stayed in the military for 30 plus years. That was not my calling. I didn't want to do that. So I had to do something. I had to start somewhere. And I saw people that was far beyond where we was. I remember talking to one of the ladies that worked in my finance office. She was married to a colonel. And she told me, she said, you make enough money to get you a really nice house. Because I was talking about how beautiful her house was. She had invited us over. I said, I can't afford nothing like that. She said, the mortgage is only $2,400 a month. You make way more than that. She was right. But my mind was so blocked, I couldn't see it. I could not see that to save my life. When I changed my circle, i.e., starting with marrying my husband, my circle, my life changed. You got to change your circle because people feel this way because they're hanging around with a bunch of broke people. If you hang around with four broke people, you're a broke person number 5. That's just the reality of it. But if you hang around with 4 wealthy people, you'll be the 5th wealthy person in that group. So you got to think about, if you are the smartest and the most successful person, no matter what level that is, in your circle, you got to change your circle. I'm always looking to push forward to get me a new circle. I like hanging around with Mr. Andamo. I like hanging around with Mr. House because these people got money. I want to be where they're at. I want to be where they're at. But I know I can't hang around with John sitting on the block smoking a joint, and talking about how the black man is being held down, and I can't hang with that person. You
Yeah.
got to get with you somebody else. You got to stop thinking that this thing is for everybody else but you. I used to think that too. That's not true. You just got to put yourself in position to be able to do it, and you got to start somewhere. I don't care where that is, even if it's not with MWR. You got to start somewhere.
I got to ask you a tough question. The show's unfiltered, right? So during these changes that you're going through mentally, emotionally, and you're dealing with making some tough decisions, you're looking at changing yourself, improving yourself. So you're probably reading more, going to more conferences, or putting yourself in a position to meet people that were doing better. All this while that you're doing that, you're probably pissing off some people as well because they're used to you. We can say pissing off on this show, it's unfiltered. Um,
Okay.
they're used to you being a certain way, right? Now you're wanting to become better. Two things happen. You're going to expose that they haven't changed. You're going to expose that they haven't grown. You're going to expose that they haven't improved. And people don't like that.
Nope.
People that you spent most of your life around don't like that. They like it when they need a handout. They like it when they need to come to you for some help. but they don't like that your success almost casts a negative light on them because they didn't make the decisions that you did. So, what happens in those relationships? I mean, we're an unfiltered show, so those are unfiltered relationships. What happens in managing those?
Well, I tell you, truthfully, I told him to kiss me where the good Lord split me. Kiss it. Goodbye. I'm done. I'm not going to let you and your negativity drag me down. And I did lose a lot of friends. I went through hell with a lot of people. I always wondered for a long time why people hated me. I always considered myself a good person. I love helping people.
Mhm.
I'm friendly. I smile. And I do that purposely because people take me wrong so much. I'm always misunderstood. Always, always, always. So when people get a chance to throw me under the bus, they do just that. But I got used to that. I really got used to it. And I learned that the people that hated me really motivated me. My haters really became my motivators. They pushed me into greatness. They just don't know. Them hating me because of who I am and what I do and how I succeeded and left you in the dust. You made me better. You made me want to do more, be more, get more, try harder. You made me successful. So don't be mad at the work that you've done in me by hating me. Don't be mad. Just come join me or get out my way.
Oh, I don't. That's a mic drop moment, right? That's like that's a mic drop right there. So wow. So did your husband need to buy into that too, or was it both of you running on different paths and just kind of running parallel or on the same track?
No. My husband was his mind was far beyond where mine was. Far beyond. He already had, investments and money and savings, but then he lost it all due to a messy divorce. Because when he and I met, we both had recently divorced our ex spouses, and his divorce was
Okay.
messy. Mine was easy because mine just wanted to get rid of me. I was too much for him, so he just wanted to get rid of me. So we was divorced in 2 weeks after I filed the paperwork. Divorce, but my husband had to go through a long, lengthy divorce, so he lost all of his investments. But he already had the concept down. He had people in his circle that introduced him to these things, and his mind was opened enough that he was willing to try. And he did that, and he was successful in that. But he had a hard time getting this stubborn woman to try those things. And he worked on me. He talked to me day and night about this thing. He just kept hammering in on me, trying to show it to me. He would open up his accounts and show it to me. And then I'd open mine and show the red negative balance in there. And he'd go, see, that's why, because you're not listening to me. And then one of the main things that he did, that I'm glad that he did, was he got us involved in church. God is very important to him. And he pulled me into church. And I got into church and I'm listening to the pastor talking about how you got to be submissive to your husband. You got to let him be the head of the household. I'm like, wait a minute. But after I absorbed that, understood that, and start living by that, things changed. Because then I had to trust my husband. If he said, babe, you got $500 that you blew last month. Give me that $500 every month and I'm going to put it in this for you. And he did that. And once I saw the money growing, it made me want to do it more. So he had to kind of push me into that. It wasn't an easy task because, I have a very dominating personality. And for me to learn how to back off and let him be a man, it was hard. But I knew that I didn't want to emasculate my man. I knew that I didn't want him to feel like less than a man. So I couldn't just keep pushing and pushing and saying, no, you get out my face. Hell no, hell no. I had to let him be the head of this household that he was supposed to be. And when I did that, my life changed.
I love that. That's awesome. And it's a testimony of a road, a bumpy road, right? Because you gave him plenty of "I told you so" opportunities, and that wasn't fun for you to hear, right? So
Right?
hopefully he was gracious and didn't say "I told you so" as often as he could have, right?
Yeah.
But but okay, so today you have an opportunity. You have a thriving business. You and your husband work together. You're both passionate about the crusade of helping people experience what you have, or getting to where you're at, or even getting beyond that, right? Building their wildest
Absolutely.
dreams, even if it's bigger than your vision, right? So,
Absolutely.
how do you, how do you, how do you, how do you package that where you can stay unfiltered or authentic, um, keep it real, right? Making wealth real. I like the R in that because so much of life we forget what real even is.
Mhm.
Social media, the news, the media. What's real, what's not, what's a spin, what's fake, what's deep AI. I mean, it's like we don't even know what real is anymore. And you talk about make wealth real. Um, Sometimes people have no perspective of what real even is. So in your leadership, in your passion to help others, in your crusade to want to expand the opportunity to as many people that could take advantage of this. And in my opinion, that's everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody should have the opportunity to go live their dreams like you have today. Now, they got to do the work,
Right.
they got to put in the time, and they got to keep the belief, but you have the vehicle to help them get there.
Absolutely.
So, how are you spreading the word? How are you promoting the business? And how can we at Unfiltered Studios help you with that? Because we would love to. You have a powerful message. You are a servant leader. Um, Unfiltered as heck, and I love it. How do people learn more about you? How do they follow you? How do they see your message? And how can we help you with that?
Okay, so what you're doing today is a way of helping me to get the word out to the people. But I think
Okay.
for me personally, to get the word out to everyone possible is I have to stop and build relationships with people. I have to let them see my true, authentic person. They have to see that I'm real and that what I've gone through and what I've done is real. This is what real looks like. They have to see that I'm not um, a person that was born with a silver spoon in their mouth and everything came easy because it did not. It did not.
Right.
There was a time when I had my children when they were young. I didn't have no food in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
The only uh, meat in my refrigerator was your fat head when you stick your head in there. That was it. There was nothing in there. And I had 4 children to feed. So I had to make some hard decisions. I had to take my children to my mother's house and let my mother take care of them until I could get a check to put some food on the table.
Well,
That
God
was a
love
tough
you
decision
for,
for me.
but you did it,
I
and
did. I had to. I had
yeah,
to.
God love you
So
for that.
and so what I do now is I try to reach out to people and let them know who I am, where I come from, what I did, how do I get where I am. And they got to know that I started the exact same way they did. When I joined MWR, I paid my membership fee and I paid the monthly fee and I did the work that they told me to do so that my life could change. I started exactly where they are. I didn't do anything different. Mr. House didn't come and hand me $1,000 and said, "Hey, do this with it," or he didn't buy my house, he didn't pay for my car. They didn't do any of that. It was up to me to do that. But the thing of it is I had to do it. And I wanted to do it because it needed to be done. I didn't want to live my life the way I was living it and leave this earth with regrets. And I wish I would have. What if I could have? I didn't want to leave this earth doing that. And especially when I was in the military just before I retired, they found a lump in my breast. Scared me to death. I said, my black butt finna die. And what do I have to show? I have nothing to leave my children. I have nothing. What am I going to do? How am I gonna navigate this? How am I gonna explain this to God Almighty that I did nothing to say? Because the Bible tells you that you should have an inheritance for your children's children. I did none of that.
Right.
I was in a bad place. And that cancer scare, that threw me into a place that I needed to be thrown in to make me do better. That helped push me there. So people, a lot of people don't give their life to God because they ain't went through nothing. But when you have that death come upon you, that C word is thrown at you, that kind of puts you in a different light. You kind of see things a little bit different. Now you want to go to the altar and cry and pray and ask God to save you and help you. But why was you not asking for God when you was doing well, when you was doing good?
Right.
Why you weren't, where was God in your life then? It's the same thing with MWR. You want MWR to come down and rescue you and make you wealthy overnight. That's not gonna happen. You got to come to MWR now and let MWR work you up to where you need to be so that you can be in a better place financially within the next 3 years, the next 5 years. Again, it's back to that position thing. You got to put yourself in position to be where you want to be. I didn't just jump here. It took time for me to get here. When I got into MWR, when I started making money, the first money I made was $5 a day. That's $150 a month. That was enough to cover my membership. I was happy. Okay, that covers my membership. I ain't got to worry about that. That's just a no-brainer. But let me keep building. Let me keep telling people about this. Let me keep working this. But here's the thing, too, that helped. I had relationships with people that in the end or the beginning, they trusted me. So when I said, hey, Mary, I found this opportunity that really can change your life. Mary said, if you're doing it, I'll try it. See, you got to be in a position where people trust you enough just to join with you and they'll make you rich. But the reality of it is total strangers put us where we're at right now. Total strangers. 90% of the people that's in my downline, I have no idea who they really are. To be honest with you, I try to get to know them, but people are kind of standoffish. They don't want you in your business. Let me do my thing. You just stay over there with you, and I'm okay with that. But most of these people I met on a whim. They were in a hotel lobby, or they were at the grocery store, or they were standing in line at the bank. I didn't know them, but I knew I had something that they needed. So I introduced it to them and say, hey, how would you like to make more money without getting a second job working overtime? And that sparks the conversation. And we started talking. And we build somewhat of a relationship. They see who I am. They learn who I am. And then they join the business with me. Total strangers.
That's powerful. And it's that simple. The beauty also is before you could touch it, you could already see it. So you saw the mortgage being paid off when the bank account was still in the red. You saw the cars you guys were driving the day and the second home and the investments, and you saw all of that before you could touch it. You could see it.
Yes.
So your belief levels change your habits. Belief levels change your change your decisions, right? You wake up a little earlier, you sleep a little later, you make a couple of more phone calls than you'd like to. You prospect all day because you believe in it. Because you believe in it. If your belief levels aren't there, that's going to correlate to your behaviors as well. You're not
Absolutely.
going to try as hard because you don't believe as much, right?
Absolutely.
I I need to have you on the show again because you oh, you keep it so real and so authentic, and we love celebrating success, and we love creating a platform that draws from powerful influence from many walks of life, right? Last week we had a limitless life coach that talked about the decisions that we make in life, and even the decisions that can affect healthy outcomes like cancer. And that was her platform. And today, Judith, we got to hear about life and the struggles, right? You talk about not having a silver spoon. I can relate to that. My family, we didn't even have a spoon, and if one of my brothers got a spoon, the other one tried to grab it from him. You know, um, so we talk about things today like, and we have catchphrases for these things. But it wasn't funny when you're sitting down on a summer night and your electricity goes out because the bill wasn't paid.
Right.
It wasn't funny on a winter morning when there's no heat because the gas isn't paid. It
Absolutely.
wasn't funny when you opened the refrigerator and the only meat that was in there was your head, and you'd have to take your kids to your mom's house just so they
Yes.
could keep fed while you were out there hustling. Well, God love you for staying committed to your belief, being willing to put the work in to achieve the goals that you have. I'm certain Judith Ivory has so much more coming, so much more ahead. This you hit the reset button probably every so often. So tell us, what can we look forward to? What's your next 90 days or 2025 or next 2-year plan look like for your MWR business? What can we anticipate?
Well, my main goal has always been in MWR is to help as many people as I can to change their financial blueprint. It's
What's that
so
number
many
like?
people out there.
2025.
Huh?
2025. What's that number look like? How many, assuming now you're starting from zero, you hit the reset button today, February 4th, 2025, reset. So, what's the goal now? How many people do you want to bless this opportunity with? And how many people do you want to help get to experience what you're experiencing now in 2025?
Well, in 2025, I would like to help everybody, any and everybody, but being realistic, if I
I
could,
want a
if
number.
I could
I
just
want a
help,
number.
yeah, if I could just help a few hundred get where they
Okay.
need to be, I would love that. If I could help 30 people, 50 people in 2025 get where they need to be, that would be a blessing to me because God made me who I am. I am a person that loves to help people. I walk in the grocery stores and I see somebody in the grocery line and they're paying for their grocery. I'll push their card back and pay for it just because I like helping people. When people want to come into this business and they don't have the money, I'll pay their membership to come in for them so they could get the benefits of what we have to offer. So if I could help 20, 30, 40, 50 people in 2025 reach their financial goal, I would be elated. Elated. I want to help everybody, but I know that's unrealistic. I know
Okay.
everybody is not here yet. They're not ready for it. Their mind is not there yet. And they can't see the forest for the trees. I want to help them see that beautiful forest and see that it can happen for you. So, yeah, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. I would love it.
Judith, tell the people on this show and the people listening and the people that will listen. So here's what's going to happen, right? So after the show, this is being broadcast live as we speak right now. It's on Twitter, it's on YouTube as we speak. But that's just really to capture the data. It's everything's there. What we're going to do with the footage after the show is we're going to take it and we're going to chop it up and carve it up into bite sizes and bite chunks. And we're going to share it on our social channels and platforms over the next couple of weeks. And when we do that, we're going to tag you on it so that what we want you to do is when you're tagged, we want you to put the links on the tag of how people find you, follow you, join you in business, take advantage of your leadership, your coaching, your guidance, your generosity. Um, we want you to put a link and you want to say, hey, you know, come join me here with MWR. Click this link to to learn more about my business, right? So that's one way we can do. We can help drive the mission. But I'll just say this: I hope that we help thousands of people get introduced to you over the course of 2025. I hope
Thank
we're gonna want to check in with you again here in a little bit because you put a lot of un in the unfiltered, right? You dispel all the beliefs that hold people back. Um, we want to be able to make sure that we get to hear from you again and learn from you again and hopefully here's what I've learned about leadership is we got you on the show because we heard about you. We know about the difference you're making, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't get left behind. We wanted to learn from you. We wanted to watch you, see you, get to know you. And I bet there are some people in your organization who have access to you that are probably tuning you out, or they're parent deaf, or they don't hear what you're saying anymore. And we would like them to know in the most unfiltered way. Stop it. You have an amazing leader at your disposal. She wants to
thank
give.
you.
You need to want to take from her because we're going to. We're going to
Thank
take from her as much as she's willing to give us, and then we're going to hold her ourselves accountable to her standards.
thank you.
So I couldn't be more excited to share this hour with you. We are going to get you back on this show. And we would love to have you come back on a regular basis so that our audience can also follow along, but also as we grow our community bigger and bigger and bigger, we need to make sure they're constantly being reintroduced to you so that
Okay.
you never know when it resonates, right? Sometimes the right person has to hear the right message at the right time. You
Right.
know, I've gone to church my entire life, and those pastors, they put their sermons on cycle, and you hear it every two
Mm-hmm.
to 3 years. It's the same thing, but sometimes you just hear it differently because you're ready for the message.
Right.
So we want to make sure we get people in front of you, Judith, on a regular basis, so that they could hear you. Even if you said the same thing, they could hear it differently, and it makes the difference.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate that.
on behalf of all of us here at Unfiltered Studio, we're grateful for your generosity, your leadership, your time, your willingness to lead when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't easy. Um, the examples that you have set today for women, women of color, single parents, when you were raising your kids by yourself, uh, the the willingness to do whatever it takes, but also the belief to know that you deserve so much more in life and you went out and chased it rather than sat back and felt like a victim. You went out and attacked it.
Yes.
I'm proud to call you my friend, Judith, if I can.
Absolutely.
I look forward to staying in touch with you, watching your success, cheering loudly from our platform as you
Thank you.
achieve more and more. Thank your family for the generosity of letting you serve our nation as well. And we look forward to having you back on the show just as soon as possible.
It would be absolute my pleasure. And today was my pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me on this platform. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful live an unfiltered life. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.